Welcome back everybody to another video. In today's video we're going to be doing an overview of arithmetic. Arithmetic is the first field of math that you will learn, and it will act as a basis for all of the other fields of math that you learn afterwards. In today's video we're going to be talking about what arithmetic is, some of the concepts that you learn in arithmetic, and a more advanced branch of arithmetic known as number theory. And there is timestamps down in the description if you'd like to jump between any of those topics, and there's a card in the top right if you would like to view another video where I outline all the fields of math from beginner to advanced. Alright, let's get into the video. Let's begin our discussion of arithmetic by first answering the question, what is arithmetic? Math in general is thought of as being numbers and shapes, and then manipulating these numbers and shapes. You have other concepts thrown in there as well, such as data, measurement, probability, but these will all stem from arithmetic and geometry. And arithmetic is more than just that though. Arithmetic is the abstraction of ideas. And what do I mean by that? Well, we can look at some examples of boxes. Counting is a concept of math. Adding, numbering, anything like that is a concept of math. So we have these objects here, and we have this pair of objects. Using arithmetic, we have assigned a value to the quantity of boxes that there are. And we know this as being 2. And now if we had one more box, we would call this 3. And so we've gone from 2 boxes to 3 boxes, and every single time we add another, we would count again one higher. And so we can now take this idea of abstracting numeric values from some real-world phenomenon and reapply it to other real-world values. So for example, maybe we have 2 cats, or dogs, or thoughts, or people. And we've abstracted this real-world value into other real-world values, and we can apply the same ideas. So if we have 2 cats and we gain another cat, we know that we would have 3 cats. And this is kind of the model that we follow with math, especially arithmetic. We start with a real-world idea, and then we go from the real world to the mathematical, or in this case, the arithmetic concept, the abstraction. And now from arithmetic, we can go into other real-world ideas. And I'm going to abbreviate this simply as RW. And this is the model that we follow with math. We have a real-world value, we abstract out the meaning, and then we can reapply it to other concepts. And arithmetic isn't just this process of abstracting, but also manipulating the abstractions that we gain. So in this case it'd be numbers, but it could also be other forms of data. And let's see an example of that. So let's say we have 2 cats, and we add 2 more cats. Here, let's do some boxes here because I don't know if I can draw cats. But using math, we know that this is simply 4. Without using math, or a more simplified version of math, we would just be left to count these. And so we count these and we see that this is 4. And using this manipulation method, we also know this is 4. So using math, we can group objects together and then add them as well. And so this doesn't matter what it is now, because now we can use this principle of adding into other real-world ideas. So maybe we have 2 pieces of homework that are due tonight, and then we gain 2 more pieces of homework from a different teacher. So in total, we have 4 pieces of homework due tonight. And this is kind of the process that we go through with arithmetic. We view a real-world problem, we abstract out that real-world problem, and then we can apply that real-world problem, or that abstraction of a real-world problem, into other real-world problems. But we can take it one step further and start at the real world problem. Go into the abstraction, manipulate this, and then reapply it back into other real-world concepts. And this is pretty much the principles of math. Even at the higher level, this is all that you are doing. With calculus, this is all that you're doing. However, a lot of times, your teachers won't walk you through this real-world to abstraction method here, or piece of the puzzle here. You will simply start with the abstract and then try to have to figure out how it applies to the real world. But every single piece of math came from some real world problem that needed answered. At least at the lower level, and then at the higher levels, it all comes from a piece of abstract ideas that then get manipulated. Now let's go ahead and talk about the different concepts that you will learn about in arithmetic. Here I have a list of different concepts that we will go through one by one and we will discuss. However, before I do that, I just want to let you guys know these aren't in order, so your teachers might teach some of these concepts in a different way from other people's teachers. And also, you might be exposed to some of these concepts in later, more advanced classes, such as algebra. Now that I've gone ahead and let you guys know those 2 points, let's go ahead and talk about all of these, just very briefly. So, basic operators. So this is going to be your addition, your subtraction, your multiplication, and your division. Sets of numbers are going to include things like your natural numbers, your integers, your rational numbers, your irrational numbers, and your real numbers. There are more, but these are the basic ones that you might be exposed to. Typically, I don't think you really get exposed to these until an algebra class, or at least a pre-algebra class, but they are listed out there. Now you would talk about your prime and composite numbers, so 2, 5 versus 14 and 21. And now you would talk about maybe even and odd. Like I said, these are out of order. You'd probably learn about even and odd numbers before prime and composite numbers. And here we see that these just alternate between even and odd. You'd discuss different ways of breaking numbers up. So you talk about fractions. Let's do A over B. You would talk about decimals. And you'd probably talk about percentages as well. Then you would discuss more advanced operators. And like I said, you probably wouldn't really talk about any of these until you got to an algebra class as well. But these would include things such as exponents, different radicals or roots, and logarithms. And there's other topics that you would talk about as well. These include things like prime factorization, your least common multiples, and your greatest common divisors. And so let's go ahead and talk about this idea real quick. So, like I said, you would talk about or learn these ideas in different orders. And one thing that you need to know is something like prime factorization would require that you understand how primes work and how fractions work. But you could probably learn fractions before primes or primes before fractions. You would miss some of the nuance to fractions if you learned primes afterwards, such as simplifying numbers, but that doesn't really stop you from learning the basics of fractions. However, you need to understand both of those before you can learn something like your least common multiples and your greatest common divisors, as well as your prime factorizations. Now, this last topic here, a lot of people kind of overlook, and this is the properties of operations. And again, this is kind of a more advanced topic that you don't really talk about too much. You hear it repeated over and over and over again, but nobody really takes the time to tell you the significance of these properties. And so we have three different properties here. We have the associative property, we have the commutative property, and we have the distributive property. And these can all apply to addition, as well as multiplication, and other ideas and operators as well. But these are really the two main things that you focus on with these properties. These properties have a lot of significance when it comes to algebra and understanding how algebra works, but they're often overlooked and ignored. And like I said, these are important to understand and to learn. Now let's move on to our final section. To finish off this video, let's talk briefly about number theory. Number theory is a specialized field of math that explores the theoretical aspects of numbers, primes, divisibility, and other related concepts like those. You work exclusively with the integers and explore their properties and relations. Before learning number theory, you should have a little bit of experience with proof-based math, as number theory relies a lot on proofs. There's many different famous examples of problems in number theory. One example is the twin prime conjecture, which is part of the Millennium problems. And that's all I have about number theory at this time. Very brief and very short. Alright, let's move on to the outro. And that concludes our video on arithmetic. It was a very quick introduction into the topic, and I hope that you guys learned at least a little bit from this video. Arithmetic is the basis of math, and it helps expand your knowledge of math to all the other fields as well. And if you thought this video was interesting, then make sure to watch some of the other videos as well, and consider leaving a like. And let me know in the comments what topics you think I should cover next, or what problems you guys would like to see. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a great day.